You're welcome to Ben Television. My name is Kayode Ogundamisi, and this is your program, Politics with KO. Tonight we're going to look at the life and times of General Odumegwu Chukwuemeka Ojukwu, the People's General, as they call him. He was the leader of the defunct Biafra Republic. He meant different things to different people, and so many people. But to millions of Igbo people of Southeast Nigeria, this is one hero that stood the chance of taking them out of what they call bondage. Today I'm going to have with me Jesse Adeniji, Jennifer Okafor, and of course I would also have from Nigeria Shalah Mosha, who is a security analyst based in Lagos. But first, we also packaged a video for you. You'll hear the words of General Ojukwu to his people. You will hear the words of other Igbo leaders about Ojukwu, what their feelings are about General Ojukwu. Well, I've got the pleasure of having our lady, our girl, Ngozi girl. She's going to tell us what's happening around the world. And Ngozi, it's good to see you again. We're all in black. We are mourning Ojukwu. It's 2 years.
That's right, Kay. Thank you, yes. It's been 2 years, like you said, so I can't wait for the show to start. So I'm going to make it very, very short with my news. And I'm going to start with the Nigerian Islamic police destroying almost 250,000 bottles of beer in Kano State. And this is in a bid to stop what they've termed, to crack down on what they've termed as immoral behavior. The beer was destroyed in a public ceremony, and it was confiscated from trucks that entered Kano. Hizba's chief, Aminu Daurawa, said he hoped the bottle breaking ceremony will bring an end to the consumption of such prohibited substances. He's also vowed that Hizba will soon embark on an operation to end the sale and consumption of all intoxicants. What do you think on that? Twitter us, hashtag. And moving on to football, the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, has banned the chairman of its own disciplinary committee, Olaleye Adeboju, for 10 years for taking a bribe from a club. The same sanction has also been handed to Dapo Lam Adesina. He's a club administrator by the Emergency Committee of the NFF for his role in the scandal as well. Mr. Adeboju, who is a lawyer, has of course denied this, but he claimed that he took the money for legal advice that he had given. Again, what do you think on this? Tweet us and let us know your thoughts on it. Both men, anyway, have been excluded from all football-related activities following an investigation. And finally, Vincent Enyama, Emmanuel Menike, John Mikelobi are, of course, a few others. Our footballers that fans have been voting to win the Goal Nigeria Player of the Year award, which is to be announced next month. A recent survey shows Mikelobi as a firm favorite at the moment. So who's your favorite? Don't forget to vote, because the voting for the awards will be open from December 2nd. So use hashtag #GoForNigeria, POTY, Player of the Year in your tweet and let us know. So like I said, I'm keeping it very, very short. I had more news, but I can't wait to hear what Kayode has to say. And of course, interesting guest he has. I'm passing you swiftly on to him. Kayode, I can't wait. Okay,
well, I hope it's just going to be calm today and there's no one calling me anti-Igbo, which is one title that seems to be...
You're likely to get that. There's likely to be a fight on stage.
Well, we'll see. Okay, but first I'm bringing in Shalah Mosha. Comrade Shalah Mosha is based in Lagos, Nigeria. He's a security consultant and he lives among the Igbo community. I just want to ask him straight away. Shola, you're welcome to London.
How are you doing, sir?
It's years now, and the Igbos, as we know, don't feel safe in Lagos. There was this mass hysteria about deportation of Igbos from Lagos to the southeastern Nigeria. How far has it been since the Civil War in terms of Igbos being able to resettle in other parts of Nigeria?
This has been a very long time. It has to do with tribe here, the culture, and the system itself, the system in Nigeria. With what is going on now, I think people are trying to protect their territory somehow. And it's not just Igbos alone. It affects Yoruba elsewhere and Hausa elsewhere too, understand? It's all around the country. But I believe it's a kind of protecting your territory. That is what is going on.
How do you protect your territory? By denying people who are Nigerians, Igbos are Nigerians. I mean, they should be able to settle in any part of the country. It's 2 years since Ojukwu passed away, and these are part of the things Ojukwu had been saying.
Okay, nobody is sending anybody away here. But what it has to do with constitutional nuisances along the line, you will want to resettle some people who has nothing to do, contributes to your territory.
The Igbos made the business in Lagos.
The excuse that came, because where you're coming from is the deportation of, not even deportation, returning back home some people who Shola as a person believe doesn't have anything doing and they're constituting nuisance to the public. And
so are we rejecting the bad Igbos and keeping the good Igbos? The Igbos that make Lagos rich, the Igbos in Alaba market, in Idumota.
No, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about telling them this person have no house and we are trying to rehabilitate him or her and is not ready. He has voluntarily, or she has voluntarily said, return me back to my base. And the government of one state get across to the other governments that, you know what, we have some of your people here, and they said they want to return home. Can you prepare to come and take them, or we bring them to you? That is exactly what is happening here.
But you wouldn't blame the Igbos, though. If in 1959, or is it 57, it was the same thing that happened in northern Nigeria, where they are told to return back to their region because they are constituting nuisance, or they are threatening the civil servants, they are occupying positions of authority in the north. If you
can look back to what you've just said now, that has to do with certain crisis then. It was not just started with picking people on the street back to their base. It's just a kind of a crisis based on religion then. If you could remember vividly, they said, go away from us, and that is exactly what is happening now that has to do with political undertone. Raising Boko Haram sector against the people, bringing in terrorists into the country, driving some sector of the country back to their bases, killing some of the people. So that is exactly what is going on.
Would you say the average Igbo man in southwest Nigeria are happy about their condition of living, about the way they are being treated in southwest?
I believe they are happy. They are happy in this sense. We're living in harmony in the southwest here. Understand? We're living in harmony with Igbos. It's only this minute case of some miscreants or those who constitute nuisance on the street that rise this.
I'm going to ask you this question. What do you do to the Yoruba person constituting nuisance as it is in southwest Nigeria? Do you deport them to Benin Republic? To
No. It's not like that. If you feel they have no home and the constitution nuisance in your territory, understand, you can call, as Shola just did, call their authority where they come from. Can you please take them back home? Because we are trying to rehabilitate them, and they said no.
Where will Shola deport Yoruba people constituting nuisance in Lagos who are from Lagos State? Where will he send them to?
He said we are rehabilitating people. He doesn't deport anybody. But if you didn't decline that you don't want to go into that camp, then we'll return you to where you come from. That is exactly what is happening there.
Okay, I'll move away from this because we're going to have Jennifer and Jesse coming in to discuss this issue of Ojukwu thoroughly. Now, you consult in terms of security. You provide security equipment to governments and agencies in Lagos State.
All right.
What is the crime rate in southwest Nigeria as it is now compared to the north? How would you compare the security situation?
The security situation is just the gap is too wide. You don't compare north with the southwest as at now. Understand? There is not much crime being committed in the southwest as it's so high in the north. It's just like we're talking about 90% to 10% here. I understand, where we have terrorists killing people, innocent students are dying on a daily basis, and we advise the government. What we advise them to do is, hey, this terrorist is being sponsored by some people in government. Then while leaving the political structure, if you say you declared state of emergency, it should be total. It should be total.
So they should get rid of the governors.
Of the governors and all that. Then they capitalize on this constitution and whatever. Yeah. The president can as well approach the House of Representatives and the National Assembly for the approval on that.
Before I let you go, I'll ask you one last question. Would you desire an Igbo presidency in 2015? I mean, it's about time, isn't it, that we have...
Oh yes, oh yes. If the country, the voters, it has to do with vote for God's sake. Democracy is not just zoning thing. It has to do with the candidate. The record of that candidate, the track, understand, of that candidate that will provide us the next president. The Igbos must come out, the Hausas must come out, the Yorubas must, just everybody come out. Then the country will now choose somebody else to lead them.
If the Igbos produce another Nnamdi in the cloud of Ebele Jonathan and is competent, the Yorubas will vote for him?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay, Comrade Omoshola, thanks for coming on Politics.
You're welcome.
Don't go away. We're still going to have this debate about Ojukwu, and there's that video that we packaged for you. Ojukwu, General Ojukwu, I must say, hero or villain. We're going to have Jesse Adeniji and Jenny Okafor. They will join me in the studio, and we'll take the debate headlong. Just stand by. You're welcome back. This is Bentv live from London, and today we are discussing General Odumegwu Ojukwu, the Nigerian hero to some, villain to some other people. And I've got the pleasure of having with me in the studio Jennifer Okafor and Jesse Adeniji. You're both welcome to Politics with KO.
Thank you.
Jennifer, what does it feel like, a generation that witnessed the emergence of Ojukwu? How do you feel as an Igbo person? What does Ojukwu mean to you?
Thank you so much for that, Kayode. I must say to you that when you asked me to come on this program, I thought, oh my God, this is a big subject for me. Big in the sense that I'm a very passionate Nigerian. I believe in proper leadership. I believe in honesty. And I adore, true leaders. And Ojukwu, funny enough, he's a man that looked so much like my father, behaved so much like my father, very principled. And, some people may think that I'm biased because I know that people have their ideas. But he was a man that I truly and genuinely loved. I respected him for what he believed in. And I respected him for the legacy he left for the world. Some people might see him as a very, very troublesome man who was just fighting and looking to fight wars, but I don't see it that way. And being a true Nigerian, I want to look at Nigeria in true perspective. I strongly believe that Ojukwu is or was a man who lived ahead of his time. He saw Nigeria through the camera, the pinhole of a camera that many Nigerians have not been able to see and may never see in their lifetime. He saw Boko Haram before they came. He saw kidnappers before they came. He even saw the most recent, trouble about deportation of Ndibo. The reason why I say this is that he anticipated Nigeria's problems and he went for it. He tried his best to call attention and say, let's resolve it now. Because we are a group of people who have been forced to come together without actually our consent. And that being the case, there was no framework, there was no proper agreement. We did not agree on how to, live together as a people. And because of that, a lot of things went wrong. So when he went to war, some people must have thought, oh, he was fighting an Igbo cause. But from my own perspective, he was an Igbo man who fought for Igbo people. But if you look at it, the greater picture says he was fighting to save Nigeria.
Okay, you talk about Ojukwu passionately, and Jesse, it's like there are two versions to this event. I mean, Igbos look at the Civil War from 1966, the program. But people tend to forget about the killings of the northern leaders and beyond 1966. What does Ojukwu, what's the man Ojukwu to the non-Igbo or the person who is looking at it from a dispassionate point of view?
Well, every leader in history will always have people who hated them or people who loved them, depending on which side of the divide you are, basically. So, for me, Igbo is a great leader to his own people. Ojukwu, sorry, is a great leader to his own people, just like Haolowo will be a great leader to the Yorubas. And in the context of what happened, we must always go back to history. We must realize that when Nigeria was a young nation, you do not expect maturity from the leaders then. And quite a lot of sensitive positions were occupied by people of Igbo origin. So they had a good head start in Nigeria. And what happened was a result of young, children, trying to become adults, and a war was foisted. So personally, when I look at the history of Ojukwu, what he did, disagreeing with his own dad to pursue his own ideal, I thought that some of the Igbo leaders made grave mistakes that foisted the war on. But this guy stood up and said, "I'm going to defend my people, rightly or wrongly," and that.
So you think even with the calibers of Azikwe, who just felt, let's manage, this young man just said, no, enough is thus far.
No, we must realize that the pogrom had happened. Thousands of people have been killed. They were on their way. People were giving back on the train. I've heard so many stories. What happened, why they died, why that happened or not, is subject to historical debate. But this guy stood up in a critical time when his people really needed him, and he defended them.
Jennifer, Jenny, will it surprise you to know that there are Ndi Igbos who think Ojukwu was a coward, he was an opportunist, he was more or less somebody who led people into war, millions died, and then abandoned Igbos and disappeared, had a fun life in Ivory Cote d'Ivoire. And this we have it in the footage here. These are Ndi Igbos saying this man is not what the rest of what the world thinks he is.
Thank you. Like he just rightly said, people have various views depending on their personal dispositions. I can see to some extent why some people may feel that way. For instance, I was a little girl when this war happened. I lost a lot of my uncles. I lived literally in the bunker. I just came back from England, and a lot of things happened. So because of that, I could look at it from the picture that I lost a lot of relatives, that he shouldn't have taken us to that war. And if you read again in history, there are certain places that when I read, I get really confused about what really happened, how the war started. Ojukwu did not really kill northern leaders, and this is something I will never forgive the people who made the decision to just start killing people, whether they were northerners, southerners, or easterners. Those eminent Nigerians should not have been killed. And when you kill people, you expect that people to return. Selfish man, he shouldn't have taken us to war and all of that. I can only but invite them to look critically at the points that forced him to take Ndi Igbo to war.
Okay, before then, I would invite both of you and our viewers to watch this footage, and you'll hear General Ojukwu in his own words. And this is an extraordinary man. You just need to listen to this man. And I'm not sure if our country will be able to produce this kind of leader, at least in the next 100 years or so. No matter what you think about General Ojukwu, he is something out of this world.
Yep.
This is Ojukwu in this short clip that we put together.
So many years, and the reward the household could give my poor father was to kill him. He was the first man killed in the May massacre. After being chased for some few yards, they shot at him, and then when they got him, they had to slice him into two, like, when you want to slice your bread into two. A human being being sliced into two. Can you imagine such a thing? Biafra is going to emerge as a nation. Despite the support of Britain, Russia, Egypt, and some other friends of Nigeria, will surely come out as a nation because we are fighting a just cause. Even a little child on the street will tell you this. We shall never go back to Nigeria again.
Some ordinary Biafran, I have been affected by this war, just the same way as millions of others. This is one of the main queers in the town of Umuahia. It's right opposite.
To really understand them, to understand us, one has always to bear in mind that we are fighting most reluctantly. We're not fighting as
millionaire, the English-educated former army officer, has the populist touch of a politician and the suavity of a drawing-room gadfly. Undeniably popular, he still has to come to terms with the fact that the country he left at the end of the Civil War has changed beyond recognition.
We have to live with our past. We have to understand our past. There are reasons which perhaps you do not understand coming from England. But the political situation in Nigeria is such that in my absence certain people have created a vested interest in a sort of situation which I personally consider unhealthy for our people. There is a sort of siege mentality which our people have acquired as a result of the end of the war. I believe this must cease. I believe our people must face the fact that the war is ended. They must feel free to partake, to serve, to benefit from Nigeria. They should have no inhibitions about being Nigerians anymore. They should have no complexes.
Since he came back, I, the governor of the state, never made one remark about him until he started criticizing my government. When I know that his past is nothing to write home about. He has a terrible, stinking past, and therefore he does not criticize anybody else.
He's traitor number one, and we describe him as a fugitive offender. He's a traitor, and we're not happy about that. He led us into war. We were with him. He abandoned us and ran away.